Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another At America TV event with me, Jasmine. I hope you all are doing well. So for those of you joining us for the first time, At America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center, and our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn more about the United States. We have temporarily moved to a digital platform so you can still enjoy all of our events at home. So for this evening, we will be discussing Making a Difference one book at a time. But before we begin, I would like to share with you that At America is having a giveaway as part of our 10th anniversary celebration and also celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. We're inviting you to participate so you don't miss out on a chance to receive a pair of Apple AirPods. Now, how can you guys participate? Stay tuned until the end of the program because that's when I'll be sharing with you how to join. And also before we begin, I would like to share with you our social media quiz question for this evening. So tonight's question is, according to the 2020 statistics, what is the percentage of literacy in Indonesia for people ages 15 to 49? Is it A, about 60%, B, about 70%, C, about 80%, or D, about 90%? So which one is the correct answer? You can participate in our social media quiz by commenting on our social media platform on our Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram. And for those of you who got the answer correctly, you will get a live shout out from us at the end of the program. All right, before we begin tonight's event, I would like to invite for the opening remarks, Ibu Carol Mitchell, Field Director from the Library of Congress.
Selamat malam dan selamat sihat untuk semua. Dalam rangka memperingati Hari Literasi Dunia, saya ingin mengajak semua peserta pada acara untuk biasa meningkatkan pengetahuan dan kehidupan dengan membaca buku. Saya akan membagikan kisah saya sehubungi dengan literasi dalam bahasa Inggris. Ideas of literacy have broadened from just the mechanics of reading to include a deeper understanding of the content, as well as to cover new forms of content. One U.S. government definition tends to follow the more narrow focus. Literacy is the ability to use printed and written information to function in society, to achieve one's goals, and to deepen one's knowledge. UNESCO is a bit broader, defining literacy as the ability to identify, understand, interpret, create, communicate, and compute using printed and written materials associated with varying contexts. More recently, we hear of digital literacy, with the American Library Association defining it as the ability to use information and communication technologies to find, evaluate, create, and communicate information regarding both cognitive and technical skills. Building on this definition, most recently, the state of Illinois passed a law requiring the instruction of media literacy, which will include in its ideas of how to access information and evaluate the trustworthiness of its source, analyzing and evaluating media messages, creating media messages, analyzing how media can trigger emotions and behavior, and the social responsibility we all hold in working with media. There is even the concept of visual literacy now, that is the ability to find, interpret, and critically assess visual media, whether it is a map, an image, or a complex data visualization. What all of these definitions include is the concept of interpretation and critical assessment, discerning ideas and truth, whether those appear in ancient texts, a graphic novel, a movie, or anything of political interest. The history of the American Public Library movement parallels that of the history of literacy campaigns within the United States. It is no surprise then that libraries, both public and academic, continue to focus on literacy. In their unbiased support of users from all walks of life, libraries promote a literate society in its broadest sense. In places of poverty and with first-generation readers, libraries open the doors to new worlds with shelves of books, movies, and music, and programs that support personal growth. In my own work at a public library many years ago, our summer reading programs were a fun way to discover new books. I think back to that sense of discovery as a young reader. New words, new ideas, new friends in what are sometimes very often well-worn books. When I worked at a university library, I taught classes on how to assess information sources, helping to broaden ideas of critical thinking, so important to our lives today. There is this idea that one cannot write unless one thinks clearly. And at the same time, one cannot think without being able to write clearly. Thinking clearly is vital in this modern age. Those of you who work to increase literacy of all types are helping to create a population that thinks clearly. Now, at the Library of Congress, I am able to contribute to a different kind of literacy, a cultural literacy. The library resources we acquire here in Indonesia and throughout Southeast Asia help our members of Congress, help faculty, students, and others in the general public better understand the languages, history, and culture of this region. I am glad to see so many interested libraries, so many of you interested in libraries, whether a little library or a home library or a major university library. Indonesia has wonderful ways of bringing books to its population. Motorcycles, boats, small little rooms in a village center are all equally important to the idea of literacy. Fill those books, I tell you, with color and delight. Fill them with mystery and love. This is the recipe for lifelong learning.
Okay, thank you so much, Ibu Carol, for the warm welcome. And now I would like to invite our moderator for this evening. Please give a warm welcome from Book Hive, Mas Farid Hamka.
Greetings, everyone. Happy International Literacy Day. Readers know this for a fact. Books can be our ticket to other worlds. It can be a therapy session. It can be a lecture, a gallery of amazements, a place where people can feel liberated and understood. Therefore, as someone who has been enchanted by the magic of literature, there has been a yearning for me and other literacy figures to understand more about literacy levels in their country, in their surrounding environments, and also initiatives that may promote this passion that keeps on giving. So today, I am very honored to share this stage with other figures that have been researching and leading initiatives that are aimed to improve literacy levels and promote the love of reading. Today, we have Margaret Aldrich from Little Free Library. We have Cordelia Oxley from the Book Fairies. And we have Wien Muldian, an expert on books and literacy in Indonesia. We will listen from these figures individually on their initiatives and views regarding literacy. And after that, we will continue on with a discussion and answering the questions from the audience. So, well then, our first speaker, Margaret Aldrich, is the Director of Communications at the International Little Free Library nonprofit organization. Little Free Library was honored with the World Literacy Award in 2020 by the World Literacy Foundation, and Margaret was presented with the Industry Innovator Award in 2018 by the Book Industry Study Group. Before joining the Little Free Library team, Margaret worked in book publishing and journalism. She's the author of the Little Free Library book, and her work has appeared in The Atlantic, Huffington Post, and others. Margaret lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So please welcome Margaret Aldrich.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much to Ad America for inviting me to this. And I'm excited to talk to you about Little Free Libraries today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So for me, it's very early in the morning, so you'll have to forgive me if I'm still waking up a bit, but I'm so happy to be here to talk about Little Free Libraries. The Little Free Library nonprofit organization leads the world's largest book sharing movement. And our mission is to build community, inspire readers, and expand book access for all through a global network of volunteer-led little libraries. Little Free Libraries are a really simple concept. They're a community book exchange box where people can take a book or share a book. And this is a photo of the very first Little Free Library. It was built in 2009 in Wisconsin in the United States by a man named Todd Bowl. So Todd created this Little Free Library to honor his mother who had passed away. She had been an educator, she'd been a lifelong reader, and he wanted to find something to honor her memory. Todd established the Little Free Library nonprofit in 2012 and then served as our executive director until 2018, when sadly he unexpectedly passed away due to pancreatic cancer. Today, we're so proud of all the Little Free Library stewards around the world who are making such an impact in their communities. There are now more than 125,000 registered Little Free Libraries. Those are located in 110 countries and on all 7 continents, even Antarctica, because there's now a Little Free Library at the South Pole. So through these Little Free Libraries, 42 million books are exchanged every year. Here you can see a representation of the global Little Free Library network and what countries have Little Free Libraries. And as you mentioned, we were so honored to receive the World Literacy Award last year from the World Literacy Council. So Little Free Libraries uniquely address 2 social needs. One is literacy, because Little Free Libraries increase access to books. And the second is social connection, because Little Free Libraries draw people together and strengthen community ties. When we surveyed our Little Free Library stewards all around the world, 72% said that they've met more neighbors because of their Little Free Library. And 92% of people surveyed say their neighborhood feels like a friendlier place because of a Little Free Library. And we're excited that on average, 1 book is shared in a Little Free Library every single day. So here at the Little Free Library nonprofit, we have programs that target critical needs. The first is our Impact Library program, which provides Little Free Libraries to communities in need. Our Read in Color program brings diverse books to Little Free Libraries. And our Action Book Club combines reading with community service. So I want to tell you a little bit more about the Impact Library program, which provides books for underserved communities. So this program places Little Free Library book exchanges where they can improve book access and deepen community connections. Folks in the United States and Canada can apply to receive a Little Free Library and books at no cost. And we hope we can expand this program even further. Some of these libraries end up at schools, and Principal Ryan at an elementary school in Oklahoma says, "This is a wonderful opportunity for our students to further develop their love of reading and to share that passion and knowledge with their classmates." Here's a group of neighbors in Chicago who received one of our Impact Libraries. Our newest program is called Read in Color, and this program is all about amplifying diverse voices. Read in Color distributes books that provide perspectives on racism and social justice, and that celebrate BIPOC, LGBTQ, and other marginalized voices. Read in Color launched in Minneapolis last fall in honor of George Floyd, who was killed here in 2020. This year, it expanded to 7 additional US cities, including New York, Boston, and Washington, DC. Tamika Fryer-Brown, who's one of our advisors and an author, says, when children read inclusive books, seeds are planted in their minds, hearts, and souls, seeds of awareness, self-esteem, and connection. If enough such seeds are sown, they will blossom into a society that is far more just and equitable than we've ever experienced. And our final program is our Action Book Club. And this is all about good reads and good deeds. So in a twist on the traditional book club, participants read books and complete community service projects together. To date, there are over 1,000 groups and over 63,000 participants. Here's how the Action Book Club works. Step 1, you get a group together and you sign up to be an Action Book Club on our website. Step 2, you read a book and talk about it. Step 3, you take a positive action in your neighborhood. And step 4, you share your story with us so we can share that with the rest of our community and inspire others to do good things where they live. So behind each Little Free Library is a volunteer steward. These literacy champions propel our mission into their communities. Our nonprofit organization provides ongoing support services to tens of thousands of stewards in the form of programming, guidance, special book giveaways, and more. This is our friend Malaz in Sudan, who says, I started my Little Free Libraries because I want to help develop reading skills in Sudan through the sharing of books. I love seeing the joy on a kid's face when they take a book. And here are some enthusiastic stewards in Honduras. Now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we've seen, some interesting challenges for our Little Free Library community, but we've also seen some wonderful examples of generosity. So when the pandemic began, stewards individually decided whether to keep their Little Free Library open based on their local caseloads of the virus. We at Little Free Library provided downloadable signs to say this library is open or this library is temporarily closed. Many stewards began sharing food, face masks, or even toilet paper in their Little Free Libraries. And we created an online map of these libraries sharing essential items. During the pandemic, book sharing became even more important, with many schools and libraries being closed. Our stewards reported that traffic at their Little Free Libraries doubled. Here you can see a Little Free Library where there are books on the top shelf and food being shared on the bottom shelf. So how can you start a Little Free Library? There are 4 areas to think about when considering how to start one. First, identify a location and a passionate volunteer steward. Maybe that's you. You want to look for a safe and legal place to install the Little Free Library. Consider a location with good foot traffic that's accessible to all members of the community. Some great places for Little Free Libraries include public parks, playgrounds, schools, and even laundromats, barbershops, and of course, front yards. Anywhere that people are gathering. A passionate steward or 2 are important to the library's success. They keep the library organized, build community support, and manage upkeep. There's some great examples here. Even a bench Little Free Library that serves as a place to store the books and to sit down and read. So the second step is getting a library. And there are 2 ways to do that. The first is you can build it yourself or hire somebody to build it for you. Constructing your own book sharing box can be really fun. You can customize it, and you can get really creative. Consider repurposing materials like cabinets or other structures. You can see some great examples of Little Free Libraries on our Instagram account. After you build your library, be sure to register it with Little Free Library so we can send you a charter sign and you can access all of the associated benefits of being a Little Free Library steward. You can also buy a ready-to-install library through Little Free Library, and we offer a variety of styles and colors, even a kit that you can assemble yourself. These libraries are automatically registered and their sales support our programs. Check out some of these really creative Little Free Libraries. I love the Sunflower Library. There are libraries made from a recycled oven and a recycled filing cabinet. And who couldn't love this little Sesame Street library with Oscar the Grouch peeking out? We often see stewards building Little Free Libraries that resemble the house behind them. The one on the left here is very intricate, and the one on the right is just simply painted in the same colors as the house behind it. So lots of people get super creative, but remember that what's most important is not the library structure, but what's inside the books. So don't get held up by needing to make a very elaborate Little Free Library. Just getting started is what's important. Once you're ready to introduce your library to the world, be sure to add it to Little Free Library's world map so book lovers can easily find it. I'm excited to note that we have a mobile app coming soon, so it'll be even easier to find Little Free Libraries all around the world. After installation, many stewards like to hold a big grand opening event and invite the community to share in the fun. This kind of celebration can help your community understand how the library works and help them feel some ownership too. And here's some examples of celebrations happening at Little Free Library openings. The last thing you want to think about is building support. Involve your community. The more people who know about the library and support it, the better. Be creative. You can hold simple storytime events at your library. You can even start a social media account just for your library. Be sure to join the Facebook group just for Little Free Library stewards. Here we share tips and ideas with stewards from around the world. There are more than 11,000 members. Here on the right, you can see a Little Free Library in Indonesia. I love how bright and cheerful it is and how many great books are inside. So, how do you get involved? How can you take action with the Little Free Library community? First, be sure to follow Little Free Library on social media. Our Instagram account is very popular. We're also on Facebook and Twitter and even Pinterest. Go to our website to sign up for our weekly e-newsletter. This is packed full of great information that can help you get started with Little Free Library or just learn about what others are doing. You can start an action book club, and with an action book club, you don't have to have a Little Free Library. You just need to have a passion for books and community service. You can sign up for that on our website as well. You can pledge to read in color and share diverse books. That pledge is also on our website. And the ultimate way to get involved, start your own Little Free Library. You can be part of the Little Free Library network. The charm and purpose of each Little Free Library inspires new volunteer stewards in an ever-expanding wave of generosity and community. We hope you'll join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Margaret, for that very inspiring talk. Leading a similar initiative here in Jakarta, I can totally testify that the effect on community activation is just immense. So kudos to that. Our next speaker, Cordelia Oxley, is the Book Fairy in Chief for a global organization called the Book Fairies. Growing up in a bookshop, it made sense that after a 10-year career in marketing, she would spread her fairy wings to bring the joy of reading to thousands of people across the world. The mission of the Book Fairies is to encourage random acts of kindness by gifting books to strangers. Book Fairies leave copies of books, some they bought and read themselves, others donated by publishers and other companies in public places with a sticker that says, "Take this book, read it, and leave it for the next person to enjoy." Since launching on International Women's Day in 2017, in partnership with Emma Watson, 13,000 people across 100 countries have joined in to leave books in iconic places from New York to Copenhagen, Durban to Beijing. Cordelia Oxley, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. What a wonderful introduction. Well, I don't need to explain what the Book Fairies is in detail because that was a fantastic introduction for anyone who hasn't heard of us, but I will show you a quick example. This is a book that I have dressed up to leave outside somewhere for a lucky finder, and this is our sticker. And it's the Book Fairies sticker. It's now very eye-catching. People recognize the sticker, they recognize the logo, they know that it's theirs to take. And the idea is that they can read it, give it to a friend, or leave it on a bench, or whatever they want to do. They can keep it for years on their bookshelf before they get around to reading it and then share it on. And the idea is that that keeps making more people's day each time. So as he said, we started International Women's Day 2017, and we launched by hiding 1,200 books, all different titles from the book club, Our Shared Shelf. It's Emma Watson's book club. So they were all feminist titles, and we went out there and shared these incredible stories, both fiction and non-fiction, in 13 different countries on that day. And that was our big launch. And we found statues, beautiful monuments, gorgeous fountains, parks, public parks, and also residential areas where you might not expect to find these little freebies and these exciting things. And that's how we launched. And we got so many people responding in a positive way. What I expected on that day was definitely people going out to find the books and the excitement about finding the books. But what really surprised me was actually what happened is the ongoing desire from people to actually be book fairies and get involved. So that's when I made the stickers, publicly available, so that people can put it on books they've read. And that's how it grew. We went from 26 people in 13 countries to now, as you say, 13,000 and counting in 100 countries. There are now 500,000 stickers have been sent around the world to people. So that's potentially 500,000 books that are out there for people to find. And the kind of magic is that it's for all ages and all genres. So of course, children just get it. They understand it. It's magic, it's fairies. You don't need to know who put it there, everything else, because it's all anonymous. So we put it there, we run off and we check that it's been taken. But also for adults, I think it's really valuable because when adults find the books, their response is, they're either having a bad day or they just really needed a lift, or they felt like this book was meant for them. And so they then relearn how exciting it is to believe in something like this, which is why our tagline is "I believe in book fairies," which is, of course, from Peter Pan. So it's this whole beautiful thing between children and adults that can all be involved with the book fairies. So yes, that's how we do it. And a lot of people have learnt about us from our larger campaigns. So our larger campaigns, I'm talking about the launch with Emma Watson and Our Shared Shelf, but also there have been a variety of large campaigns. So we've done things like being in Paris. We have hidden Handmaid's Tale around Paris, again with Our Shared Shelf and Emma. We've worked with Dixie Eggerichs, who played Mary Lennox in The Secret Garden last year. Colin Firth, who was in The Secret Garden as well. Russell Brand for the film For Kids and It. And most recently, we were honoured to work by royal appointment with the Duchess of Cambridge, and that was around the book that she put together, which is called Hold Still. And it is 100 stunning photographs taken by people in lockdown all around the UK, and it tells a beautiful, sad and also uplifting story throughout these images. And it was originally an art installation, but it was so popular that they put it into a book, and the Duchess became a book fairy for the day in London, which was absolutely astonishing. So we get a lot of people kind of jumping into the book fairies and becoming book fairies as a result of these larger campaigns, but also we get a lot of people becoming book fairies as a result of finding a book. And a lot of, if you haven't heard of the book fairies, you found a book, I can't imagine how exciting that is, because that will never happen to me. I have found one though. I'm very excited. I have found one before, but of course I knew what it was all about. So that's a really exciting one. And the other ways it works is we don't simply leave books outside. I mean, that's obviously, we will always do that. We have done that for 4.5 years, but we do it in lots of different ways now. If we get campaigns like was mentioned from the publishers or from authors, we'll have a real look at that book, work out what locations work for that book, and we will go to them. For example, there was a campaign yesterday for a book all about Wallis Simpson, and it's all to do with royal palaces and her life in those, and we went to those places yesterday to leave the book, and we, the people who found them were already there, already interested in that kind of thing. So we like to play around with locations and where we put the books and finding really special places. Because it's in the UK, we obviously have weather problems. So we started in the UK, we're now worldwide, of course, but because we started in the UK, we're all over it when it comes to weather problems. So a lot of people say, what do you do when it's raining? Well, thank you, Little Free Libraries, by the way. We do a lot of fun things with Little Free Libraries as well. In fact, they were involved with Little Women initially. And we have a lot of Little Free Libraries in our areas, and we will tag them, we will share them, we'll put them in there because they're so lovely and sheltered, and we know the books are going to be safe and find a good home. We also find things like church doorways or even bus stops, just simple places that are really dry and sheltered, because we are anti-plastic, so we don't put coverings on the books, but we find really dry spots for the books to be safe until the finder finds them. So that's a kind of fun one that everyone's always a bit like, but how does that work? It's manageable. We've done it before. So that's how that works. And so authors can be involved, and we get involved with all sorts of authors, be it big authors with huge publishers, but also we do a lot of days around independent authors, because we like to support them. They don't have these massive budgets, and they don't have lots of books to give away, and they don't have those kind of opportunities that other authors have, like with events and things like that they do. So when they see their books out in the world hidden by book fairies, it's incredibly exciting for them. So we do have independent author days 4 times a year, and we just invite them, just give us as many copies as you can. It might be 1, it might be 10, anywhere in the world you are, and the book fairies will get them out there, and we'll share them, and we'll tag you on them and really shout about those books. So that's a really fun thing to do. And this morning I was it's a launch, a book that's coming out in a week's time, and I was in a forest, and we were finding these incredible locations for the author, and they get so excited about, it's something different to do with their book as opposed to a signing or a bookshop event. They're kind of out there and getting out, and they know that someone's going to find it, and they often see people finding them, which is really, really fun. We're very proud to also partner with a community library in Uganda, and we have done for several years now. And what we do there is they approached us because they wanted to set up a library. So we helped them set up this library in Loengo district. And it was just a small room, essentially. And we, of course, donated a ton of books. We made these lovely posters about book fairies and Uganda, and, how they can be involved. And of course, that's doing book fairing in a different way. That district specifically, they don't have lots of books to put stickers on and go and hide them out and about. They just don't have that ability. So we completely reversed it. We're like, right, we're just going to give you all of these books and you're going to have this as a library, and it's a book sharing kind of portal for that community. And it has become this incredible place and social place, especially during COVID. You know, they have outdoor areas and they can see all the people in their neighborhood. And that's really developed. We've now built out a computer room for them so they can have classes with adults and children. So that's a big thing we're really proud of, as well as doing all this fun thing that we get to run around with books, but also we get to support, you know, this library, which is great. And that kind of brings me on to COVID. Yay! So of course, we are touching books and we are putting them outside. So that was going to be an issue when it came to lockdowns and things like that. And it was a challenge. We, like the rest of the world, I think, took 2 months. We just took 2 months back and thought, right, we'll stop everything we're doing and we'll just see how this develops. And if it's going to come out quickly, we'll get back to it and we'll see what the feeling is like. And then when it got to summer last year, we did a few things, like we hid a few secondhand books, which we thought, you know, if anything's going to have a negative response from somebody, obviously we know we're doing it responsibly, but if anything's going to have a negative response, it's going to be a secondhand book. So we hid, you know, 100 secondhand books in a very small area in London to test it out, and the response was 100% positive. I mean, people were just excited to have something else to think about and to do and to chat about and to put on their Instagram. You know, it's just something different. It's not like I just stayed at home today. I went for a walk. I went for a walk and I found this thing that someone had left for me. So from then we started building it up and do a few more campaigns, and we have not stopped since then. And even through lockdowns. So we do it incredibly responsibly, and we don't encourage people to go out. So the way we did it with COVID was, rather than saying we're going out here, we're going to Hyde Park, or we're going to wherever it is, Central Park, and we don't do that. So at the moment we will hide all the books, and then later in the day we'll just be like, earlier today this book fairy left these books here. We hope the lucky finders on their essential mission or their daily exercise are happy with their book. So that's kind of how we switch it up. And we also launched the Fairy Book Swap to bring our worldwide community together. So that was Instagram based, and it's something that I want to do again at Christmas as kind of a one-off. But essentially it is just people coming forward with books they're happy to send to other people and telling me what titles they are. And we shout about it on Instagram, and we managed to match, you know, 100 people a week to new books. And these are just normal book fairies out there in the world, and they put it in a parcel. They often put like a little card in there, maybe some chocolates, like a little letter, and they send it to someone they've never met who might be in a different country as well. And it just, the joy of that has been absolutely beautiful. So it's just another way of sharing books, you know, across different countries, different continents. That's been fantastic, and you kind of learn different genres that you might not otherwise pick up, that kind of thing. Yes, so I'm just going to continue. Sorry, I know that I was going to be asked some questions, but I don't know if I've just answered all of them by accident.
It's fine, you can go on. We'll have a discussion later, and of course there would always be questions, especially with things like you are very passionate about, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Once I get started, like, that's it, really. So yeah, another thing that often comes up at the moment is mental health, especially with lockdown. People are feeling isolated, or they're feeling really anxious to go outside and things like that. And a lot of book fairies genuinely believe that reading helps that. And it doesn't matter if it's non-fiction, you might be learning something you're really passionate about, you might carve out that time for yourself. You know, an hour a day, you can get through a lot of books if you put aside an hour a day. I did that for a little bit, it fell down recently because it's got busy, but an hour a day of reading, whether it's non-fiction, something you're really interested in, or just fiction, just escape, or romance, or an adventure book, or even a book for younger readers, it can just take you away from this for a bit. And it really does relax you. And I do think that a lot of the anxiety at the moment can come from technology. I think that can really be harmful. It can be incredible, and obviously we use social media a lot as book fairies. We tell people where the books are, but it can also be harmful. And from our inception, we've done offline days where we just say, right, 4 times a year, whole Sunday, that's it, no screens, you just read your book. And we encourage people, like, what are you going to read, what are you going to do? And people kind of organize to meet up with their friends or whatever it is, and they'll read a book they keep putting down, they keep meaning to read. And that's something that we've been running for a while, but especially during now, we're really encouraging people to try and get away from the screen, even having kind of office hours with your phone. Essentially be like, right, I don't use that in the evening, I am going to watch a good film, I'm going to read a good book, that kind of thing. You just got to, it's a behavioral thing, but it's something that we kind of shout about as well. And obviously we do that online for communication, but this is the difficult thing about modern life. You have to kind of use it in a positive way. Yes, and that leads me on to theme days. So one of our theme days is offline day, which is offline, unplug. But also we run a lot of theme days throughout the year. And this is for the purpose of keeping all the thousands of book fairies around the world kind of excited about different events throughout the year. So rather than just, you know, leaving any books any day, it doesn't matter, which of course it doesn't, but we put these little events throughout the year. So for example, Green Book Fairies, it ties in with Plastic Free July, and it's, you know, any environmental books that are about living with less plastic and looking after our planet, that kind of thing. We encourage people to shout about those, to hide those, to tell each other about them, and also switch up some of their own habits so that they're using less plastic, that kind of thing. We do those kind of theme months. We also do theme months for Book Fairies with Pride, which we've done from the beginning as well. And we have special Pride stickers, which are incredibly colourful and beautiful. And we use them for any books that kind of fit that theme. BLM Book Fairies we launched last year. And as you said about George Floyd. So, you know, shouting about all of these gorgeous books that, you know, often overlooked, especially for children, you know, lots of diverse books for children. Yeah, so we do all sorts of things like that, including just simple ones like Book Fairy Classics, which was just a couple of weekends ago, which again speaks for itself, but it just kind of gives people these events. And we've got Roald Dahl's birthday coming up on Monday, so that's Fairy Dahl Celebration, which is my least favorite hashtag, but it works. So that's been running for 4 years as well. So we do kind of have these things throughout the year that people can get involved with. And if you're someone who absolutely loves books and loves reading and doesn't know what to do with all their books, you should definitely become a book fairy. All you need are the stickers. And that's from the Book Fairy website. And we send them all around the world, and there are a ton. I think there are 13 languages on the website now, and so anyone can get involved. And you know, ideas for locations are, as I've mentioned a few already, but your local parks, you'll be so surprised how quickly these books are picked up. Local parks, benches, you know, even outside people's offices, at monuments, at statues, all of these different places. And if you have ribbon, pop a ribbon on, because it's just way more likely, like, someone will think, oh, that's definitely left for someone to pick up, it's a gift, and make a little sign saying free book and things like that. You can do all of that, and it just means that you will make someone's day. I mean, book fairies write little notes inside the books as well, saying who they are, and they might put their own, you know, Instagram, whatever, saying, let me know if you found it. And they so often get these messages, and that's fantastic. And the type of messages we get, as I mentioned, like, I was having a bad day, or I've just had some bad news, or what are the chances? I've been hearing so much about this book and I wasn't sure if I wanted to read it. And there it is. So really, it's really flexible. Anybody can be a book fairy, and I just love to encourage you to join us.
Yeah, I can totally empathize with that joy of, you know, spreading books that, you know, would be magical, possibly, even though it's not really something you would want to keep in your bookshelf, but it can be magical for people, because I've been doing that in Jakarta, and that's simply the response. So I guess thank you, Cordelia, for, you know, showing this initiative that is based on gift economy, which makes us not really only spreading books, but also making us better people, better members of the community. Right. I will ask you more questions later, but now we have Wien Muldian, who is currently the chief of Perkumpulan Literasi Indonesia, head of the Indonesian Library Association, vice chief of literacy for Schools of Indonesia movement, as well as chief of experts in Ikatan Sarjana Ilmu Perpustakaan dan Informasi Indonesia. He also created Writers Inc., Persatuan Penulis Indonesia, dan pelaksana Harian Gerakan Literasi Nasional. He also runs Baca di Tebet, a community-based library that aims to help educate, share knowledge, and appreciate Indonesian culture. He was part of the committee that created the National Education Curriculum. He was part of the International Visitor Leadership Program on Libraries 2009. The Library of Congress, Department of State, USA, and was part of the Committee for the National Indonesia Guest of Honor at the Frankfurt Book Fair in 2015. He has visited multiple countries, including the United States, to study about libraries, literacy, and society's views about literacy. Pak Win, saya persilahkan.
Okay, thanks. Hi, Farid. Nice to meet you. Margaret, Cordelia, hi. It's a great project, a wonderful program in Litter Free Library and the Book Fairies. Okay, I want to presentation in Bahasa Indonesia. I want to give a presentation in Zoom. Okay. Okay, Farid, apakah tampil di layar?
Ya, ada.
Oke, terima kasih. Saya mungkin akan cerita sedikit tentang bahwa fenomena hari ini kita di Indonesia tidak hanya bicara tentang mengajak orang membaca, tapi juga saat ini kita bergerak bagaimana mengembangkan keterampilan membaca. Keterampilan membaca, dan ini menjadi bagian dari sebuah gerakan yang sudah berlangsung lumayan lama dan sudah juga melibatkan sekian banyak partisipasi di berbagai daerah di Indonesia. Dan biasanya program-program literasi ini dikembangkan dengan terhimpun di setiap komunitas di berbagai daerah. Mungkin saya akan jelaskan ini ya secara umum. Mungkin saya akan menyampaikan paparan dalam konteks kita dalam kondisi pandemi. Kita berdampingan dengan COVID-19 di saat sedang ada learning loss, literasi loss, di saat kurikulum pendidikan disederhanakan, dan sini butuh sekali dukungan dari masyarakat untuk terlibat membangun akses pada bacaan, membangun sumber belajar, dan sebagainya. Dan ini kita jalankan saat ini dalam rangka juga menuju next normal, normal berikutnya. Jadi proses ini mungkin yang saya akan coba ceritakan, bagaimana teman-teman di berbagai daerah menggerakkan program-program literasi dan membangun daya baca. Nah, posisi ini secara umum pasti mungkin kita sudah bisa pahami, ini bagian dari SDGs terkait dengan bagaimana membangun pendidikan yang bermutu, dan ini bisa dibilang target dari gerakan literasi yang dikembangkan saat ini di Indonesia adalah membangun pembelajaran sepanjang hayat, membangun pembelajaran seumur hidup. Nah, ini mungkin menjadi bagian penting terkait tentang SDGs poin keempat, 6, dan ini menjadi target kita. Dan saat ini pemerintah di Indonesia mengembangkan terkait dengan kemampuan literasi baca tulis dan kemampuan literasi numerasi. Ini menjadi bagian fokus program pemerintah saat ini di Indonesia. Nah, menanggapi ini, kita sendiri sebagai teman-teman yang bergerak di kegiatan literasi di Indonesia dan juga membangun daya baca, kita memilih tadi tidak sekedar mengajak orang membaca, karena akses pada bacaan saat hari ini tidak hanya pada buku cetak, tapi juga beragam konten dengan beragam media. Maka yang kita gerakkan saat ini adalah kemampuan literasinya, ada kemampuan mengakses bacaan, mengelola pengetahuan, dan juga memilah-milah informasi menjadi informasi yang positif untuk kegiatan di tengah-tengah masyarakat dalam proses pembelajaran. Ini beberapa yang menjadi bagian target kita dalam konteks gerakan ini, sesuai juga dengan apa yang diarahkan oleh UNESCO. Nah, target yang dikembangkan saat ini di Indonesia adalah gerakan literasi berbasis masyarakat, di mana membaca itu sebagai strategi utamanya. membaca dalam konteks baca tulis, dan terkait dengan numerasi, kemampuan bagaimana mereka mengelola angka, hitungan, bacaan, dan sebagainya menjadi bagian target. Jadi gerakan membaca adalah bagian dari gerakan yang lebih besar yang saat ini dikembangkan oleh banyak pemangku kepentingan Indonesia yang dikenal dengan gerakan literasi. Target yang dikembangkan saat ini di 3 ranah, keluarga, masyarakat, dan sekolah. Dan ini menyentuh beragam aspek keterampilan hidup. Mungkin kalau kita mengacu ke World Economic Forum 2015, ada 6 literasi dasar yang menjadi acuan, literasi baca tulis, numerasi, sains, digital, finansial, dan budaya dan kewargaan. Ini menjadi bagian, menjadi referensi kerja-kerja kita membangun daya baca. Dan juga kita beracuan dengan 4 kompetensi yang menjadi arahan juga dari World Economic Forum, berpikir kritis, critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration. Jadi ini menjadi acuan, dan target kami mengembangkan gerakan literasi yang di dalam hanya tadi adalah gerakan membaca. Jadi menyiapkan siapapun anak-anak hari ini untuk siap mengambil keputusan ketika dia menguasai sekian banyak bacaan yang menjadi spesialisasinya, menjadi minatnya. Jadi ketika seorang anak membaca beragam hal yang terkait tentang pengetahuan yang dia minati, maka dia akan mudah mengambil keputusan, mengambil langkah-langkah terkait dengan pengetahuan yang dia kembangkan. Kedua adalah berpartisipasi di lingkungan sosial. Ini juga yang dikembangkan. Dan ketiga, untuk menyiapkan untuk masuk ke dunia kerja dengan pilihan bacaan, pembangunan kosakata yang memang menjadi minat setiap anak ketika dia sudah memilih bacaan-bacaan yang sesuai dengan kapasitas dan kompetensinya. Itu yang kita kembangkan saat ini. Nah, lagi-lagi mungkin saya coba menggarisbawahi bahwa yang kita gerakkan bukan sekedar kemampuan membaca dan menulis, sedangkan baca dan menulis sebagai sebuah keterampilan berbahasa, kita kembangkan dari keterampilan membaca ini masuk ke kemampuan yang lebih jauh, mengembangkan membaca dalam konteks komparasi, membaca dalam konteks eksplorasi, mengajak orang akhirnya bagaimana tidak sekedar bicara tentang minat baca, tidak hanya dengan membangun kebiasaan membaca, kemampuan membaca, tapi kita menguatkan daya baca. Jadi yang menjadi gerakan saat ini di banyak kelompok komunitas di Indonesia, membangun daya baca, apapun itu, dari akses pada bacaan cetak, buku, akses pada bacaan digital, audiovisual, beragam referensi-referensi yang sifat audiovisual, seperti akses di YouTube dan sebagainya. Jadi yang kita bangun saat ini adalah semacam daya literasi, bagaimana kemampuan mengakses, memahami, mengelola, dan menggunakan pengetahuan dan informasi yang dipilih secara cerdas. Jadi jadi buku salah satu sumber menjadi bacaan yang kita kembangkan saat ini, dan yang kita gerakkan saat ini tadi menarik seperti Liter Free Library, tapi saat ini banyak dibangun oleh masyarakat dengan nama semacam perpustakaan publik, perusahaan komunitas, taman bacaan masyarakat. Nah, tempat-tempat inilah yang saat ini ada ribuan di Indonesia dikembangkan di tengah-tengah masyarakat. Dengan dukungan pemerintah, dukungan beragam pemangku kepentingan, kita membangun tempat-tempat ini untuk meningkatkan daya baca. Itu yang saat ini sedang terjadi di Indonesia. Jadi yang kami kuatkan saat ini tidak cuma masyarakatnya, komunitinya, tidak cuma layatannya, tapi bagaimana mengembangkan konten-kontennya, bacaan-bacaan positif, bacaan-bacaan berkualitas, dan saat ini juga memanfaatkan teknologi yang ada. Ini saya ambil contoh mungkin sesuatu yang saya dan teman-teman kembangkan saat ini juga di Jakarta. Jadi konsepnya kalau misalnya partisipatoris dalam konteks Indonesia, kita kenal dengan istilah gotong royong. Nah, gerakan ini berjalan mengajak orang membaca, dan ini sudah mulai berkembang pesat, dan hari ini kami juga merayakan melibatkan sekian banyak pejabat dan mengapresiasi juga beragam capaian-capaian dan praktek baik di tengah-tengah masyarakat Indonesia. Jadi ada kolaborasi antara pemerintah, masyarakat, dan juga dari unsur dunia usaha, swasta, korporasi, dan ini yang kita kembangkan. Nah, pendekatan gerakan yang saat ini kami kembangkan adalah mobilisasi sumber dayanya, mengorganisir bagaimana sumber daya literasi ini bisa jadi efektif di tengah-tengah masyarakat, tidak cuma hanya keramaian, keriaan, tapi mengembangkan beragam aktivitas dengan menguatkan kemitraan, kerelawanan, dan partisipasi secara luas. Jadi fokusnya pada program pengelolaan dan kemitraan itu saat ini dijalankan, pemberdayaannya menggunakan teknologi, informasi, dan komunikasi, dan perpustakaan publik ini saat ini kita menguatkan bagaimana sumber daya manusianya, pendekatan sosial budayanya, pengembangan 6 literasi dasar yang tadi saya maksud, pengembangan sumber belajarnya, daya pustakanya, saat ini bacaan-bacaan tidak hanya dalam konteks bacaan cetak, tapi juga ada bacaan dalam format digital. Kita ada program di Indonesia, ada iPusnas, di Jakarta, di Jabar, di Jogja, dan sebagainya untuk konteks digital. Juga ada konten terkait dengan bacaan-bacaan anak yang juga dikembangkan oleh Room to Read, Literasi Cloud, terus juga oleh The Ford Foundation dikembangkan dengan Good Let's Read, itu yang saat ini dikembangkan juga di Indonesia, dan juga memanfaatkan beragam daya alam yang ada di tengah-tengah masyarakat. Pastinya kita akan juga menggunakan beragam teknologi informasi di dalam aktivitas kita. Nah, yang kami kembangkan saat ini tidak hanya sekedar koleksinya, penggunanya, pengalaman menggunakan koleksi bacaan, dan juga berikutnya mengkoneksikannya dengan beragam pihak, tapi juga kita coba kembangkan saat ini membangun lingkungan berkarya, makerspace di tengah-tengah masyarakat kita. Jadi akses pada bacaan, tapi ada tindak lanjut bagaimana dari bacaan-bacaan ini mereka kembangkan menjadi sesuatu yang menghasilkan karya, bisa menulis artikel, menulis buku, menciptakan lagu, membuat koreografi tari, membuat robot, juga bisa membuat penelitian, menciptakan resep makanan baru atau apapun proses dari membaca. Jadi tidak hanya membaca dalam konteks kesenangan, tapi membaca juga akhirnya bisa mensejahterakan. Ini satu tempat yang saya bangun dengan teman-teman di Jakarta, namanya Baca di Tebet. Tempat yang seperti ini saat ini banyak dikembangkan di Indonesia. Ini tempat bertemunya ide, diramu dan menghasilkan karya. Baca di Tebet ini intinya bagaimana ide-ide tadi, imajinasi, impian bisa diwujudkan, ada kreasi karya dalam bentuk konten, ada kreasi karya dalam bentuk kriya, produk, dan ada diskusi-diskusi yang kolaboratif, mencoba berbagai apapun dan menjadikan tempat ini sebagai hub, sebagai community center untuk membangun gerakan sosial, budaya, edukasi lingkungan, dan apapun. Ini contoh yang kami kembangkan saat ini di Jakarta. Ini tempatnya ada restorannya, ada working space, ada ruang podcast, ada tempat untuk menginap bagi teman-teman dari berbagai daerah Indonesia kalau lagi datang ke Jakarta, ada untuk bikin workshop, ruang-ruang untuk membuat workshop, dan sebagainya. Ini contohnya ada ruang musik, ada function hall, ada banyak tempat yang ketika di sini menjadi orang-orang berinteraksi. Ini salah satu yang dikembangkan, dan saat ini juga pola-pola seperti ini banyak dikembangkan di Indonesia, dan ini menjadi jejaring gerakan literasi di Indonesia. Jadi ada koleksi ini, Baca di Tebet memiliki 20.000 koleksi buku. Kita juga belajar banyak hal, belajar fermentasi minuman, kombucha, bisa bikin podcast, mengelola koleksi bersama-sama, membangun katalog online, dan sebagainya. Ada proses belajar bersama yang diciptakan, berdiskusi, bertemu beragam profesi, dan sebagainya. Nah, ini tempat yang kami kembangkan saat ini, dan pola yang sama saat ini juga sedang dikembangkan di Borobudur, di Jepara, di Pangandaran, dan berbagai daerah di Indonesia. Dan salah satunya saat ini lagi kami kembangkan bersama teman-teman di Sulawesi Utara, di Kepulauan Sangihe, dan sekarang sedang kita adakan Sangihe Writers and Reader Festival tahun ini. Dan itu yang mungkin pola-pola yang kita kembangkan, dan kita berharap akses pada bacaan tidak hanya buku yang bertumpuk, tapi kita juga mengharapkan buku-buku ini, beragam sumber ini juga bisa dimanfaatkan. Mungkin itu aja dari saya. Terima kasih, Farid.
Terima kasih, Pak Win. So we have seen on the one hand all these initiatives, international initiatives that are promoting literacy and reading all across the world. And we have also heard from Pak Win about the situation and things that are in their nascent stages in Jakarta and Indonesia as a whole. So right now, I guess we'll have this a discussion. I have questions because all of the presentations were very inspiring, but of course there are a lot of questions. The first question, I guess it's for Margaret and Cordelia. I want to talk about the ecosystem, because these are more or less gift economies. Your initiatives are operating outside the traditional channels of libraries and bookstores. How do you see your literacy, your initiatives vis-a-vis, with these traditional channels?
That's a great question. At Little Free Library, we really see ourselves as a complement to traditional libraries and bookstores, and that we help contribute to that culture of reading. So we work with hundreds of public library systems in the United States who actually use Little Free Libraries as community outreach tools. So a library system in California, for example, they might put Little Free Libraries in more rural areas so they can reach more people and get books further out into the community.
So we, like Margaret, we're complementing it. So we, when we do, for example, campaigns around a specific title, we will always say, you know, if you're not one of the lucky ones to find one, we'll put links on our website to buy them, and we use only bookshop sites so that it supports independent bookshops all around the world. And we also say, go to your local bookshop, go to your local library, find out if they have this book. And that's why with every single post that we make with a picture, it's not just a picture of a beautiful book in a stunning location, but every single caption has the blurb from the back of the book, so that even if you're just curious about what's this book about, you can read about it. And then absolutely go to your local bookshop, go to your library and find a copy or borrow a copy from a friend. Like, it's just, for us, it's another way of spreading awareness about specific books, but also getting books into hands of people who might not have a Little Free Library close to them. They might not have a library close to them, or it might not have crossed their mind. You know, so many people will say to us, I haven't read a book for years, and now I feel like I kind of have to, because I've been lucky enough to find one, which is really rare. So that's, we do see it as a compliment. And we do a lot of little things with local bookshops. For example, they might donate 10 books to us, and we'll put postcards about their bookshop inside and hide it in their area so that people are drawn back into the shop. So just lots of things like that. You can be, I think, Margaret, you're right, you can be really flexible about it. You can like cross promote and things like all of those things, and it just means that people are more aware that there are so many different ways to get hold of a good book nowadays.
Totally. You guys are propping up the literacy culture, right? I think there's like one celebrity in Indonesia, Najwa Shihab. She basically says, you only need one book to fall in love with reading. Let's find that book. And I guess if you find a book in a Little Free Library, or, you know, donated by the Book Fairies, and you fall in love, you would go to the libraries and the bookstores. All right, so the second question I want to ask in the Indonesian context, so I will ask this question to Pak Win. Jadi, let's say pemerintah ingin menggalakkan program-program literasi untuk menumbuhkan tingkat literasi di Indonesia. Menurut Pak Win, apa aja sih kebijakan-kebijakan yang bisa dilakukan secara cepat dan benar-benar bermanfaat, efikasinya tinggi?
Ya, saat ini yang jelas pemerintah itu lagi bergiat untuk bagaimana membangun akses pada bahan-bahan bacaan berkualitas. Dan itu juga mungkin saat ini di pandemi ya pengembangannya dalam konteks format digital dulu ya. Karena untuk distribusi format cetak ya, kalau kita bandingkan dengan berbagai negara di Indonesia dengan di dunia dengan sekian banyak pulau di Indonesia dan sekian banyak penduduk, dan distribusinya juga itu butuh biaya yang tidak kecil ya untuk mencetak dalam konteks buku cetak. Dan ini posisi yang mungkin akhirnya yang dikembangkan saat ini adalah strategi membaca dibangun di tingkat lokal, baik di keluarga, di masyarakat maupun di sekolah. Itu yang menjadi target. Jadi kurikulum pun saat ini di era pendidikan hari ini fokus ke mengembangkan strategi membaca. Jadi tantangannya saat ini adalah bagaimana menghasilkan banyak karya kualitas oleh para penulis-penulis Indonesia. Jadi ini yang kita tunggu. Jadi pemerintah sudah sangat membuka saat ini akses pada bacaan berkualitas, tinggal bagaimana para penulis, para penerbit menyediakan bacaan berkualitas. Jadi beda kalau misalnya kita bandingkan di Amerika atau di berbagai negara, ekosistem perbukuan sudah sangat bagus. Sedangkan kita di Indonesia dengan rantai distribusi buku saat ini, kita harus secara bertahap membangkitkan lagi dunia perbukuan, terutama yang dalam format digital. Farid.
Thank you, Pak Win. That's true. I mean, only 10 years ago, it was pretty difficult to even find the classics of Indonesian literature, which are just amazing. But nowadays, I feel as if like a lot of these publishers, big publishers, have recently republished, retranslated a lot of works that are more niche, etc. But your point about digital strategies are very interesting because nowadays, for writers and readers alike, there have been a lot of programs when it comes to digital books. I wonder then, with Cordelia and Margaret, has there been any kind of initiatives regarding ebooks, digital offerings in the Book Fairies and Little Free Libraries?
So with independent authors, often they will start by producing ebooks. And that means that, they often get in touch with us and ask us like what we can do around that. And of course, we can't be leaving Kindles out and around for every single person. That's not possible, and hugely wasteful. So what we do then is we will ask them to share, links if they've got a day that they're giving this book out for free, then share us a link, and we can send it out. Even ones where you can read the first couple of chapters, that kind of thing. So we've done a few initiatives like that with those authors who are only published with ebooks. But of course, where possible, we're most excited about getting the books out there. So where there are real books, we'll get them out there. And when I say real, I mean traditional. But yes, some people are only on ebooks, and in that case, we switch it up and get them out there too. And some people prefer reading that way.
Yeah, that's an interesting question for us at Little Free Library, because we are such an analog thing. It's literally a wooden box that you open and find physical books inside. So that's a question that we ask ourselves, because even though we're this very analog physical thing that you can touch and grab a book, the Little Free Library movement has really spread because of digital access, because of social media. That's how the word has spread all around the world. So we're exploring that. How do we kind of bridge that, physical book space with the digital book space? And it's a question that we haven't answered yet.
Right. Thank you. I mean, one idea here that has been, growing in Indonesia is the usage of QR codes. So like Cordelia said, some authors who publish through ebooks, they will give out the first chapter of their books or the first second chapters or any kind of sample that they have written before in QR codes. And then they put it inside these Little Free Libraries as bookmarks, etc. It's been, interesting finding these, and you just don't know what these QR codes mean, and then you scan it and then you get other things. Coming to that, I mean, there's this question, because I've been thinking, because I'm super inspired by the Little Free Library and the Book Fairies, how to make it happen in Indonesia, because right now the ecosystem in Indonesia is that a lot of books are said to be, radical and sensitive, etc., etc. I wonder if there is a system of curation that happens within, the Little Free Library or the Book Fairies movement. I mean, curation here is just a euphemism for a little bit of censorship, I guess.
Well, I can speak for Little Free Library. We really leave a lot of the decision-making up to the individual steward. So the person who has the Little Free Library, we want them to feel that they have ownership over that. If there's a book they feel they should pull out of the library, usually because it's really beat up and they don't want to share that with someone else, it's falling apart, the pages are falling out, then that steward can decide to pull it out. We discourage any kind of censorship unless it's, any kind of racist or offensive material in that way, because the Little Free Library community is very inclusive and welcoming, and equity is very important to us. But we really do try to leave it up to the individual stewards to know what's right for their communities and what their communities want.
Yeah, we're quite similar. I mean, we push for common sense, always, like absolutely common sense. What we say is generally just don't go out putting out books that might be offensive to somebody. And when I say that, I mean books that are promoting a specific religion. Like you might have a book that is about a religion, or like a kid's book that's teaching people about these different things. But there's a different types of books, and that's the only thing, is that just use your common sense, you know, when you're out there hiding books. And we actually haven't come across that ever. And I think it's because the type of people who are book fairies are just doing it out of love of books, and they've not got these kind of niche agendas. They're not going out there to, you know, push this specific.
For your views. I think I want to ask this question to Margaret in Little Free Libraries, because yes, that people sometimes not only donate the books that they see might be magical for everyone. How does this, you know, how would this work in terms of sustainability? How do we make sure, you know, I know that there's a steward, but how do we make sure like the stewards won't have tons of books that are not really useful?
That is a great question. And I think that comes up for us all the time, Bray, which we love for you to do. Please donate books to Little Free Libraries. But really think about, would I share this with my best friend? Would I give this book to? So it's really up to that personal responsibility of the community to know, are these books useful and valuable, and will they be loved, and will they mean something to people in my neighborhood? Because we for books that people don't want.
Here. Right. So maybe the last question for this discussion before we actually go to the audience.
Tambahkan sedikit, Farid.
Oh, okay, sure. Pak Win, silakan.
Jadi sebenarnya yang dikembangkan oleh Little Free Library ini juga sudah ada 20-an tahun di Indonesia. Jadi saya sendiri dengan teman-teman sudah mendistribusikan lebih dari 1 juta buku. Di tahun 2008 kita punya program misalnya, jadi tapi gerakan ini tidak dalam konteks nasional, jadi setiap komunitas, setiap wilayah itu ada, jadi banyak perpustakaan kecil, misalnya saya ambil contoh saat kita ada gempa di Jogja atau tsunami di Aceh, itu ada ratusan box buku yang menghibur, ada baca untuk memotivasi, baca untuk bagaimana membangun lagi dunia kerja dan sebagainya. Jadi program-program seperti yang dikembangkan oleh The Free Little Library itu sudah ada dari zaman kapanpun terkait tentang membangun daya baca di tengah-tengah masyarakat kita. Justru saat ini dari bacaan yang saat ini beredar di mana-mana, sekarang dikembangkan untuk membangun keterampilannya, semacam itu.
Sip, terima kasih Pak Win. So yeah, a lot of programs have been there in Indonesia that is about, you know, literacy, that is similar to the other initiatives that are happening globally. So maybe the last question before we go to the audience question. So Cordelia and Margaret, you both lead such huge initiatives all over the world. This is just like a fun question. What have been your favorite moments, favorite campaigns, favorite collaborations of them all, if you can name one on top of your head?
I can, and it kind of mixes mine and Margaret's. So over lockdown, 3 or 4 of the experience of this, because they weren't out there hiding books. They put all their Book Fairy books in the little, so it's a really nice mix of our like little communities. And that really got me. And there's been so many fairies, especially a lot of these inspiring ones are from lockdown, so many fairies delivering hundreds of books, gathering together hundreds of books and delivering to the hospitals or into food banks and adding books to the parcels going out to isolated people who were shielding, and just things like this. It is non-stop, and there are fairies doing doorstop drops for children who've been out of school for months. And you know, there are so many inspiring things like that. But also for me, it's the friendships. Book fairies all make friends, and they go and stay in each other's houses, and they could travel the world and stay with someone they've never met, but they've known because they're book fairies and they've done this exciting activity together. So yeah, the community is absolutely, they just happen as a result of them being book fairies is the best bit, really.
I would echo that too, that it's really that larger community and collaborating with these different people here all across the United States and all around the world. It's wonderful to see that spirit of generosity that's really infused into book sharing. Notes that people find in their Little Free Libraries. Thank you notes from community members, from children. You know, we had a little free library steward who shared a note from a kid who said, "I used to hate reading. You made it fun. Thank you." And I think that really says a lot for what sharing books can do.
Here. I echo that. The thank you notes are just so endearing. And I think one day when you can, collect all these thank you notes from all the, book hives, all the literary libraries, you can probably publish a book on it, right? But yeah, thank you. Those are very interesting, views on collaboration and community that is very inherent in reading. 2 questions out here. So I guess this one is specific in the Indonesian context. So I will ask Pak Win. Jadi di akhir-akhir ini Indonesia kan udah ada bagi orang-orang sekitar. Ada nggak sih secara data kuantitatif maupun kualitatif peningkatan di tingkat literasi dan minat baca Indonesia?
Oke. Nah, secara umum memang ada kajian, cuma kajian ini kan belum dalam konteks lebih luas ya. Jadi perpustakaan nasional ini kegemaran membaca dan itu dilakukan di setiap provinsi yang ada di Indonesia. Dan kalau misalnya di Kementerian Pendidikan itu mengembangkan namanya Ali Baca. Jadi melihat tingkat literasi tapi di sekolah. Nah itu sebenarnya ada, tapi secara umum memang secara spesifik terkait dengan daya baca itu memang belum ada, Farid. Tapi kurikulum ini saat ini sedang dikuatkan dengan literasinya, ya pasti nanti semuanya akan terukur.
Okay, so we'll see in the future because these programs are still very new. There hasn't been any, there has been minimal quantitative research on it. So the next question comes, this one is actually asked by 2 people at LX Forever and Kanti of printed books, traditional books. They simply ask, what is your prognosis on ebooks? Are they going to replace real books, traditional books in the future?
I personally don't think so. So what we did, especially in the it dropped down a few years ago and the traditional book has continued to grow and grow. What I do think will change is the way they are produced. So a lot of publishers and a lot of booksellers, and especially we work with a secondhand bookseller who sell a lot online, they're looking at all sorts of things around recycling books and then creating new books, which will mean that there's less harm to the environment. All of these kind of things are being considered at the moment, and some publishers are actively doing that already. They're making new books out of their old books that are either damaged or people have donated. So I think that will definitely change. But I do think that whole thing of getting either a new book or an old book and the smell and the feel, some people like to crack the spines, not everyone does. But that kind of experience, I don't think that can be replicated in an ebook. I think an ebook is for a different reason. If you might prefer, it's easier to read in the sun, it's easier to take on holiday, you take 100 books with you, that kind of thing. But also look at the science, but also my feeling is that that's not about to be beaten by anything else.
Yeah, I would agree with Cordelia. My background is in book publishing. And about 10 years ago, we were all in a bit of a panic about ebooks. We were thinking, what's going to happen to print books? They're all going to disappear. No one's going to want them anymore. And then we just found that wasn't the case. And I think that independent bookstores are seeing a huge surge in people shopping at independent bookstores. So I think, as Cordelia said, there's just something about a print book that can't be replaced. That said, there's certainly a use and a place for ebooks, for audiobooks, but I think a lot of us love to hold that physical book.
True. I feel as if ebooks are so tedious to be annotated, and I sometimes love, especially with poetry books, I just love to annotate things on the page. Right. So this one is a question from Nadia. This is regarding, the 2 initiatives, it's all about gift economy. As a book lover, me included, sometimes we're just a bit very selfish of our books. We treat them as somewhat of a tome, right? how do we get past that? How do we let go of these books so that we can actually share it with others? What kind of mindset?
You don't have to. You do not have to. If you have books you don't want to give away, don't give them away. Keep hold of them. It's absolutely fine. There will be lots of books in your community that people want you to take away and they want you to share. You do not need to give away your collector's editions of things you might not want to get rid of. It's perfectly fine. Do not do that. Just put something out there. Say, I've become a book fairy, or I've set up a little free library. Do you have some fiction books or whatever it is, that specific books that you would like to share? Put it out there. You will be surprised the response you get. There'll be a lot of people who just hold on to paperbacks that they read years ago, and they're like, you know what, this is a good cause, I'm going to give them all away. So don't worry. Every person who's doing this is a mixture. You know, everyone has bits they want to keep hold of, and other ones they're like, yeah, absolutely happy to share that as soon as I only wanted to read it once. And that's absolutely fine. You don't have to change your mindset in that way. You're loving books just in different ways.
Yes, and I certainly hang on to a lot of my books that, you know, I want to just keep and cherish. But some of my books, I realize I could give this book another life. You know, it's collecting dust on my bookshelf. I'm probably never going to open it again. I want to share this with somebody else. So you can just, you know, make the decision for yourself of which ones are your cherished books that you'll keep forever, and which ones do you think that you can be generous with and let someone else enjoy.
Kalau Pak Win ada opini nggak soal sharing buku gitu? Apa kadang-kadang bagaimana donasi yang didapat misalnya?
Ya justru setiap waktu itu donasi yang masuk banyak ya. Jadi kita lihat saat ini orang-orang untuk menyumbangkan buku itu banyak sekali. Cuma ya tadi kita perlu ada kurasi dari bacaan. Jadi mana yang tadi buku bacaan textbook itu juga mungkin ya kita nggak terima gitu. Yang jelas proses ini terus berjalan dari tempat kami dibaca di tempat ini, kita juga distribusikan ke perpustakaan publik lainnya di Indonesia di dalam jaringan kita. Nah, terkait dengan membaca sendiri ya kita berharap justru dengan gerakan-gerakan yang dikembangkan saat ini, apapun mereka membaca medianya, mau digital atau e-books atau mungkin multimedia atau visual, nanti pasti akan larinya ke buku cetak juga kok. Itu saya optimis. Apapun program yang kita kembangkan, ketika daya baca sudah muncul, orang akan kembali ke buku cetak.
Pasti. Kalau aku boleh tahu, kenapa Pak Win ngebuat ruang baca ini di Tebet? Kenapa bukan di tempat lain di Jakarta misalnya?
Oh, karena emang lokasinya ada di Tebet. Tapi saat ini juga kita bangun di Borobudur, kita bangun di Jepara, dan di berbagai daerah di Indonesia. Di jejaring kami gitu loh. Kita ada di Sulawesi Utara juga, banyak di Deli Serdang, di Sumatera Utara. Jadi justru bagaimana mengajak orang lagi ke buku cetak. Jadi beda ya kalau misalnya di Amerika, di berbagai negara itu kurikulum sudah jelas untuk membangun daya baca itu sudah terbentuk. Nah, justru saat ini bukunya ada, daya baca yang kita bangun dalam konteks gerakan. Beda kalau ya mungkin ya ini sistem pendidikan yang di Indonesia sekian lama akses pada bacaan berkurang, sekarang kita kuatkan dengan strategi membaca di dunia pendidikan. Itu yang mungkin sekian tahun yang lalu tidak terlalu jadi target. Jadi beda kalau misalnya di luar negeri, di Amerika itu sudah terpola. Di Indonesia belum, kita baru memulainya lagi 4-5 tahun terakhir ini. Begitu Farid.
Aku setuju banget. So I think right now reading in Indonesia isn't really seen as a hobby like it's seen in other countries. You know, it's seen as something, you know, you do just for the sake of getting information juga kan. So that's one significant barrier that we need to solve if we want Indonesians to be reading, if we want Indonesians to be taking part in community initiatives, etc. Okay, so the next question, it's very general and I think would be quite fun to answer. This one is from Aninda NHN. So what are the great tips to develop regular reading habit for adults who are never into it? I think this is a very localized problem. A lot of adults in Indonesia just have never really read anything in their whole lives.
I think the problem here in the United States is people don't think they have time to read, you know, so I think that we all have our challenges for getting into that habit. That's one of the things I love about Book Fairies or Book Hive or Little Free Libraries is they kind of put books in your everyday path. And so they can disrupt that a little bit. And there are plenty of people who never go to the library, never go to a bookstore. But if you come across a book when you're walking home from work or walking home from school, that can kind of be a gateway to starting to read.
Yeah, I would say if you really haven't read for a long time, go to a bookshop or a library and ask them. Ask them, what would you suggest? Just like a really straightforward way that's going to completely capture my attention and won't take too long to read. And it might be a middle grade book, it might be a young adult's book, and they're just very easy to read, but they're really engaging. The characters are incredible and you can really get lost in it. And I would say you do have to be strict with yourself, but you will enjoy it. You have to be strict. There's it works for lots of different people. A lot of people will get up half an hour early and read for half an hour, because before the day begins, you don't have the kind of things of, oh, I'm halfway through this, I'm halfway through that. Nothing's happened yet. Other people might still be asleep. You can read for half an hour. There's also a period of time, either might be at lunchtime, or it might be just after work before you start prepping for dinner and things like that. Obviously very different if you have children, but maybe that's when they're napping or whatever it is. You might find time. And, as you say, Margaret, a lot of people say they don't have time, but I bet they watch television. And there'll be times when you think, oh, this is just one episode, 23 minutes, 25 minutes. Instead of watching an episode, I'm going to read my book for that time. That's it. It's as simple as that. And if you get into the routine, there's a lot of videos on YouTube about how it racks up if you do little incremental bits of reading throughout the day or once a day. And it's amazing how much you'll get through. And it really does help your mental well-being and relaxing and starting your day right, finishing your day right. I personally turn off screens an hour before bed and read, and generally reading sends me to sleep, which again causes problems because I can't read in the morning anymore because my brain goes, oh, it's bedtime. But that kind of thing, it can really help you relax and you get a bit of reading in. So you do have to be a little bit strict with yourself and just be like, no, I found time for this, so I can definitely find time for reading.
Pak Win ada tips gak tuh buat
Oke,
orang-orang
sederhana aja untuk orang dewasa itu. Jadi bawakan bacaan untuk menyelesaikan masalah mereka. Itu mungkin. Jadi ketika misalnya, jadi tidak sebagai secara umum mungkin bacaan untuk kesenangan, bacaan untuk hiburan itu sudah bagian dari proses membaca kita. Bagi yang memang daya bacanya bagus. Tapi untuk orang-orang tidak suka membaca, kita mulai untuk bagaimana menyelesaikan masalah mereka dengan beragam referensi, dan itu adanya di dalam bacaan. Jadi biasanya itu. Jadi kita tawarkan ke hal seperti itu. Maka mereka akan baca, tertarik sesuai dengan kebutuhan dia, dan dia akan baca terus apapun sesudah itu.
Okay. That's very interesting. For me personally, I just give copies of my favorite books to people I actually love. So they would have the obligation to, I've never read my whole life, but then this person whom I love gave me this book. I need to read it so that I can connect with him better.
I do that with Sherlock Holmes, because a lot of people think, the classics, they're really difficult. You read a Sherlock Holmes story, they are so short, they're really entertaining, and they almost feel like they were written yesterday. So I was like, read this.
Yeah. Books with annotations, the best gifts on earth. Right. So I think now it's actually time's up. We can't handle any more questions. I just want to say thank you. It's been an honor to be talking with you guys, and also to be gleaning the important lesson that reading and literacy is not just about sharing books and reading things on a page. It's about community, it's about collaboration, and it's about creating a better world. A lesson that we direly need in this increasingly anxious world.
Thank you so much. It's been such an honor to be with you, Farid, with Cordelia, with Win. I appreciate being at America so much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you too. It's been wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much. Thank you for Mas Farid for moderating our event this evening, and also for our wonderful speakers, Miss Cordelia, Miss Margaret, and also Bapak Win. Thank you so much for taking your time for this insightful session. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Now, earlier in this event, I asked you guys a question, And the question was, according to the 2020 statistics, what is the percentage of literacy in Indonesia for people ages 15 to 49? Is it about 60%, 70%, 80%, or 90%? Well, the correct answer is D, about 90%. The rate is about 99% for ages 15 to 34. So shout out to our winner from Instagram at Maya Trenner for answering correctly. For those of you who would like to tune in on our quiz next time, you can tune in from the beginning of the event because that's when we'll be sharing our question. Now, I also mentioned that America is having a giveaway. We are giving out a pair of AirPods for celebrating our 10th anniversary and also celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. Now, how can you guys participate? You guys can go to the link at atam.tv/US Connected for more information. The deadline is up until the end of the month, so you still have lots of time to join. Now, for those of you who are wondering, how can you develop an awesome idea at an awesome place like America? It's really easy. You can just go to our website at www.adamerica.org.id, select create a program, and go to collaborate with us. All proposals coming to us will be reviewed, and your event might be featured here soon. And while you guys are on our website, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter so you guys get updates sent straight to your inbox. We won't spam you, we promise, just once a week. And also don't forget to follow us on our social media for fun content, event updates, and many more. I hope you have a good evening and see you at the next America TV event. Bye-bye, everybody.